Fist away is what you're saying.
Oh, a fist away. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Where you'll
Thank
always
you.
find his podcast.
Did you know that nearly half of Philadelphia sports fans are women? That's right, and they know the game. Studies show 47% of fans at games are women. Don't believe it? Next game, look around. The museum
Weather is like kind of cold, but not really.
Oh, I know. My house is always on like 84 degrees.
That's pretty hot.
I'm always cold. Everyone that comes over is like sweating. I'm like, are you guys hot?
84,
They're like,
84 is
yes.
hot. We keep ours at like 74. All right. Good afternoon, Greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Zara Sala in for Sarah Timon. We wish Sarah a very happy delivery coming up here in the next couple of weeks. And we've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about here this week. We've got a jobs report that way underwhelmed with only 22,000 jobs being added. Mortgage rates hit their lowest level of the year since October. U.S. home ownership's hit its lowest level since 2016. SEPTA avoided the cuts for at least 2 years, a little bit of a temporary solution there. And Philadelphia was identified as one of the best seller markets in the country, as well as Pennsylvania being the 10th best state to live in. I don't know about that one. We'll talk about that in the second segment here. And we've got some great new listings hitting the market. So Zara and I both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. And if you get some value out of this, you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with our team and have Zara help you with your real estate needs, you can do that with the link in the comments. So mortgage rates, Zara, jobs reports. This has been all over the headlines here since the end of last week. So to give some perspective, and I want to get your reaction to this in the field, payrolls rose in August by 22,000. The expectation for the Dow Jones was 75,000. Unemployment ticked up a little bit. And I mean, this jobs report sent rates down dramatically. We were seeing 6.29% on a 30-year fixed conventional loan at the end of last week, and that's where rates have been hovering. What's this done to the market? What are you seeing in the field? Are you surprised by these jobs numbers? Give me your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a good thing and a bad thing, just because, for my buyers that are looking for the interest rates to get lower, it's definitely a positive for them. But it might deter some buyers, obviously, with the unemployment rate being a little bit higher. But luckily, like, they are upping. It seems like the income has gotten a little bit higher as well. So that might bring some more buyers back, but maybe a little bit more or less competition. But the interest rates definitely, decreasing is a plus.
Well, I think that's great news for home buyers. You're absolutely right. The job market, I think, is stalling more than we might have realized. Daniel Zhao, the chief economist at Glassdoor, which is a hiring jobs website, said the labor market is losing lift, and August's report, along with downward revisions, because it's not just the August report. They're also bringing down numbers that they've reported in the past and adjusting these constantly, suggests that we're headed into turbulence without a soft landing being achieved. And the markets kind of disregarded the report. They were up at the open on Friday. Treasury yields were sharply lower. We saw rates come down. And I mean, in that regard, I think there's a real positive that mortgage rates have come down. A lot of people have been clamoring for that. And the most interesting thing, we've got a Fed meeting next week. So if you look at these Fed futures and what the expectations are, the Fed meeting's 8 days from now. Before this report got released, it was like we had a meeting the day before. I think it was like a 94% chance we were going to see a 25 basis point increase. Well, there's still a very high chance we see a 25 basis point increase at the meeting next week. It's 91.8% according to the FedWatch tool from the CME group. But now, instead of a chance rates hold firm, there's an 8.2% chance we see rates 50 basis points lower. And in December, and this is the number that was probably the biggest shocker, there's going to be 3 more meetings, right? You got now October, December. At our meeting on Thursday, we were talking about this. There was a 40-some% chance we saw 75 basis points lower in December. That jumped up to 62.5%. So they've taken the hold off the board here. What do you think the Fed's going to do in light of this report? What if you were to bet on this? You were going to put your next commission check on what the Fed does. What would you predict is their decision at the September meeting? No cut, 25 basis points or 50 basis points, and tell me why.
Yeah. I would definitely think that they're going to do a cut of a sort. I would probably say 50 basis points just based off of this article where it's kind of disappointing news for a lot of, the economy and everything like that in terms of the unemployment rate. So I would assume they have to accommodate it somehow. So I would assume they're definitely going to do some type of cut.
Yeah, I think the cut's almost a guarantee at this point. I don't know that we're going to see now. Unfortunately, given Jerome Powell's track record, I'd love to see a 50 basis point cut right now.
That'd
Given
be
the
nice.
state of the economy, a lot of people believe that we're just scratching the surface here with these jobs numbers because they're very lagged. And a lot of people feel it's a lot harder out there than folks realize. And there's people that don't file unemployment. I mean, you can go through this jobs report as much as we want, which we will in a second here, that a 50 basis point cut looks to be appropriate right now. I mean, this is the highest unemployment rate we've really seen since July 2024, and then dating back to January of 2022. So and then late 2021 when we saw 4.5% in October of 2021. So
And that was during COVID time.
yeah, and that was when it was declining, when hiring was happening. Because I mean, it peaked during COVID. With January 2021, it was 6.3%. So the fact that we're in that recovery period is interesting. What are you seeing with some of your clients? Do you have anyone concerned about their jobs right now? Are you feeling like some people are having some turbulence at work? Because that does affect real estate decisions in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. I've actually had a couple of clients who were pretty motivated, but their job right now is a little uncertain. So I've just been following up with them every several months. But there's definitely a lot more uncertainty with some of my clients. And that's one thing I can't obviously, if they're going through that, it's more so just a waiting game for them. And hopefully they get good news at the end of it. But yeah, I've seen that with a couple of my buyers. And that's one of the reasons why they're not in the market right now.
So, I mean, what's that conversation like? Are they thinking about coming back to the market? Are they waiting things out? What are they saying? Because this is where it's really important to know what to say and how to work with people. Because there's some of these folks, they're not going to transact no matter what you say. There's others that may not realize what's going on in the market because this employment news is like not great for most people. It's not bad news. And I hate using the double negative, but it's not bad news for people that want to buy something because the rates really cooperated here.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said it. There's pluses and minuses to it. But with my specific clients, it's more so just a waiting game for them to find out what's going on with their job. Just because, and I understand it. You don't want to get under contract and you have to spend $100,000 or however much, and you end up losing your job or during the middle of the contract. So, and I've seen that happen with some buyers before, just doing this job. So I understand, they want to wait a little bit more and get some more certainty before coming back into the marketplace.
So, and what does that certainty look like for them? I mean, because I think that a lot of people are probably feeling this way and they're not talking about it. Is the certainty they know they're not going to be like they have predictable income? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know with one of my specific client, they've been doing a lot of layoffs recently. So I think just waiting to hear back if she's one of the people that is going to get laid off, for example. So yeah, just, obviously learning more, after a while about their job and just before they can come back.
Well, that's a hard position to be in because you don't really know what's going to happen. So I think that's where it does get a little dicey. And I mean, when you look at this jobs report, they say that there was obviously the 22,000 jobs that were added. There was the Fed rates changed a little bit. The payrolls count was the first since President Trump fired former BLS Commissioner Erica. I'm going to butcher this name, McIntarfer, following the release of the jobs report. So he was not happy with the jobs report in July because it got revised down so much. And now you have the president talking about having a state of emergency for housing. It looks like Washington's finally taking the housing market seriously right now. What do you think about that state of emergency of housing? I mean, and it's obviously we're not political here.
Yeah,
we are. Housing has been in a recession in that there hasn't been a lot of transactions.
Yeah, I mean, I get the same thing for my buyers where it's affordability is becoming a lot higher. It's harder to get a home because not only do you have to deal with a higher interest rate, but also the house prices are continuing to go up. So I understand what he means by an emergency in that sense. But yeah, that's why I feel like I'm probably leaning more towards the 50 basis point cut just because I feel like that would help a lot, just lowering the interest rates a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's probably the appropriate move. I would have loved to see a cut at the last meeting
Mhm.
in July, which that obviously didn't happen. So we had this jobs report. It sent mortgage rates, falling to new yearly lows, the lowest rates we've seen since October of 2024. And for months, the Fed's been saying the labor market's solid and there's no issues, and attributing the softness in the data to the population growth. Well, that's obviously very clear. That's not the case after looking at this jobs report. And when you look at the monthly change in employment by industry, private education and health services added the most jobs. Leisure and hospitality added 28,000 jobs. 46,000 were private education and health services. 12,000 were other services. Government had some of the biggest cuts, 16,000, which might be a result of what they're doing in Washington. And professional and business services was number two at a 17,000 job decrease. So it's clear the market's getting a little softer. Now, residential construction didn't collapse, but it's getting a little softer as well. So, moving forward, I mean, we've obviously got the economic data and inflation. We've got the labor data. You're thinking there's going to be 50 basis points. Do you think there's going to be another cut after that?
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, depending on kind of seeing what happens with the housing market, if that does positively impact it and more buyers come, maybe not so, but yeah, I could see like another cut or so.
I think there's going to be a total of three
Mhm.
and 75 basis points in total, because I don't think we're even scratching the surface here yet. And what's evident is the housing market's starting to feel this, because if you look at U.S. homeownership levels, it declined for the first time since 2016. So there's a Redfin report that shows U.S. homeowner households fell 0.1% year over year in Q2 to 86.2 million, the first decline since 2016. Renter households jumped 2.6%. It's one of the largest increases in recent years. We know median sale prices are up nationally and locally. We're up about 6%. So, are you surprised to see that people are taking a step back from home ownership? I mean, for nearly a decade, the number of homeowner households in the U.S. has steadily climbed, and that streak just ended.
No, I'm not that surprised, just because even this past year with my own business, I've seen it. I've seen a lot less buyers in the marketplace, and I've seen myself getting more offers accepted because of
Mm-hmm.
it, just because I've been dealing with a lot less competition. But, I do have less buyers than I did a year ago, but I have less competition. So,
Well, and that's interesting, because I think all year we've seen competition's been a little. I don't want to say it's easier in our
yeah.
market, especially the Northeast is in a
Hmm.
much better spot than the rest of the country. It's been more buyer friendly. It's not a
Yeah.
buyer's market. Let me be very clear. It's still very clearly a seller's market, but the competition has waned. So give me some examples of where you're seeing things that would get signed, because this is good for all the listeners out here, where you're seeing examples of things get agreed to that wouldn't have happened 12 or 24 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, just in our areas alone, because I mainly service the suburbs area.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of the houses, especially, 2 years ago, they would fly off the shelf after a day or two, or even, less than a week. It was pretty rare if a house stayed on the market for more than a week. But nowadays, where our area is, houses are staying on average around 22 days on the market. So there's just a lot more accessibility to get your offer accepted. And a lot of my deals this year have been below ask, getting inspections, just getting a bunch of contingencies along the way and getting them, seller credit, whatever the case may be is. And I definitely didn't have that 2 years ago for sure.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody did,
Yeah.
or it was much rarer. So the fact that you're seeing terms get accepted that wouldn't have 12, 18,
Mhm.
24 months ago really is demonstrated by this data here, that, and we're seeing this first decline in home ownership in the US since 2016. And what that tells me is that you've got these lower rates now, the lowest levels we've seen since October of last year, 11 months ago. You've got competition waning, inventory's up 16% in our marketplace year over year through the month of July. I mean, you have
Which
to look.
helps with the competition.
Well, it does, and it also gives people options,
Yeah.
right? So seeing that there's options out there, there's less competition, and rates are lower. This is a moment in time right now where I'm clear, if you've been shut out of the market. I know you're working with people that have felt it's difficult to buy a home.
Yeah.
Whether you were you pulled out entirely and haven't been paying attention, which there's a lot of those folks, or you're just starting to explore what's out there. There's a window here where it may be a little more favorable to buy a home now than it would be even after the first of the year, with the people that jump back in where that's their New Year's resolution. They want to get into the spring market.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even, you kind of mentioned this, but with getting an offer accepted, my clients aren't like, this is the end all be all home. Now there's so much more houses out there that they're like, okay, Zara, like we really like this house, but in case we don't get it, here's some backups that we want to see. So I've been seeing a lot of that more recently as well.
I'm a big believer in looking at the backups.
Yeah, me
because
too.
it does a couple things for you. One, it makes you feel better about the home you're buying. Has that been an outcome that you've seen?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of, you're just comparing, apples to oranges sometimes.
Well, and sometimes you got to see the other ones to feel better about the home you're buying.
Yeah,
this
your
happens
decision.
way more than you think. So, a good agent's going to say, yeah, absolutely. Let's go look at these other properties. And let's say they do find something that's a little more favorable. Well, a good agent's going to know how to navigate that situation so you don't lose both houses, because that's pretty tricky to do. So, have you had a situation come up where they want to go buy the other home, even though you're under contract on home number one, they want to buy home number two, they looked at it as a backup?
Yeah, for sure. Especially during inspections time, because that's the time where it's the most tense. You don't know if you're going to agree, and you're worried that there's so many issues with the home, especially when you're a first time buyer. It's very normal to have an inspection report that sometimes is like 50 to 60 pages. But a lot of buyers are like, this house is doomed. So, sometimes I'm like, okay, well, like, let's see what other houses are out there for you. They see other houses and then they compare it to this one and they're like, okay, like this isn't as good as the one that we have. Let's try to make it work.
Does that make your people feel a little more comfortable moving forward?
Yeah, for sure. Because at the end of the day, they realize that every house has problems. You're going to have to put money into it some way or another. But, there's a positive outcome at the end of it.
Well, and a good agent's going to look at all the options. And I think that's so important. Anytime, there's going to be hiccups and problems in transactions, especially in a market like this. And a lot of agents, they haven't had to deal with this kind of market before.
No.
You know what the turnover rate is? 5 years ago was 2020. So you've got 87% of agents weren't in the business prior to 2020. These are the facts in the marketplace. And if you don't know how to navigate, hey, we want to look at the backup home, right? Imagine if you said no.
Yeah.
Right? I'm serious. I think that's going to turn a lot of people off. You've got to be a yes in this kind of market. You've got to know how to navigate the inspections and keep everyone calm.
Yeah.
And that's a skill, and just develops over time. Like doing some research instead of just hitting the panic button right away can be very effective. What other skills do you feel like you've had to learn compared to when you got into the business versus now? Because not every agent who got into the business in 2020 or 2021 is even still licensed, let alone selling homes at a regular clip like you are.
Yeah, definitely negotiating has been the number one skill that I have learned over the years. Just because, you have to learn how to go back and forth with the other side, whether it be nowadays, most of my negotiations comes with the price of the home. So trying to get it below the ask, and just essentially, I always tell my clients, like, pretty much what you want the home for, let's go less than that, just so they can meet us in the middle. That way, both sides like to think that they won or got something out of it, whether it be with inspections or before you purchase the home. So just being able to strengthen my negotiation tactics has been crucial for me, because when I first started, everything was waived. We just gave the seller whatever they wanted and more. But nowadays it's like, okay, like the buyers deserve to have as much as the sellers do, and we can try to work it out.
Well, you're right that there's the ability to negotiate all this stuff. And if you don't know how to negotiate and keep everyone calm, and one of the keys there is detaching from the outcome.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many
keeping a
people
level
that,
head.
well, and what ends up happening is they don't detach from the outcome, and they bring their emotion into the transaction. And if you have an agent doing that right now, when you're seeing home ownership levels dip, you've got low rates, there's a lot of opportunity in the marketplace here. That's someone that, can actually bring more drama to the transaction than you may want. Well, and it's,
I've had that before.
And they get, if they're acting that way, how do you think their client's going to act?
Yeah.
And that's really important. So if you're a consumer right now and you've got this agent that's addicted to drama, which is what it is, I'd be in the market for another agent that's a professional, that knows how to talk to people like it's a business, and understands what the options are, what's available in the contract, and what you can negotiate. Because if you don't have that, you don't have someone on your side and you're going in blind. You might as well have just represented yourself at that point.
Yeah. And I think just the main thing is just listening to your clients, So for example, when it comes to inspections, I don't give my opinions immediately off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, okay, what did you guys think of the inspections? What are your main concerns? Let's go over the items. I have my own separate sheet of items that I want to go through, and then we kind of just see what matches together, and I'll give my opinion. But yeah, I agree with you completely. You just have to detach yourself from the outcome, and a lot of, some agents can't do that, and it makes my deal more difficult. But the ones where I had this one house that needed over $100,000 worth of work, and being the agent, he was able to detach himself. He didn't get offended by our inspection report that we were asking for, pretty much everything, or wanted a $50,000 price reduction. He was like, okay, like, let's try to make it work, instead of being like, oh, this is, ridiculous,
Mhm.
whatever. And we were able to, come to a conclusion regarding the deal. But yeah, emotions definitely can kill deals for sure. And I see it all the time.
Well, and you look at what's going on in the market right now. There's this opportunity with lower rates. We're seeing the lowest rates all year. So people's payment just got a lot lower. A lot of
Yeah.
agents don't even understand that we're talking about payments here. And this isn't the price. Some people are going to say they want prices to come down. And the real question is, do you want the price to come down, or do you want your payment to be lower? And the answer is usually you want your payment lower. So we got lower available monthly payments. We've got inventory that's increasing. And we've got some time here where there's not a lot of competition. So if you're someone that maybe took a break from the market, they got shut out, I think that's a mistake. Not that you just want to buy the next home. You talked about showing backup offers when you're under contract.
Yeah.
That demonstrates an agent that's looking out for their consumer's interest. You don't want to be on the sidelines if you're shopping for something, because you don't know when these new homes are going to come up. And for sellers, these lower rates are going to bring savvy buyers back to the market. So I would, if you have a place nailed down where you want to go, there may be some opportunity there, depending on where you're moving to and what your next phase looks like. Because the best time to have your home on the market is when the neighbors don't, from a competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
but also when it's right for you and your household. So how are you explaining this to people? Like, do you break down the payment for them and show them the difference? Like, how do you help them navigate these low interest rates that we're seeing right now, the lowest of the year, basically?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely something that I got really good at when I first started, just because, especially in situations where you have to go over 50,000 above ask, it's kind of nerve-wracking to be like, okay, how do I get my client to go that much higher above the ask price? And I would always have estimated cost sheets. So I would do one at asking price, below ask, above ask, 50,000 above ask, so they can see all of the differences. And honestly, what I realized is it doesn't make that big of a difference going 20,000 above the ask like it sounds like it does. But on paper, it probably adds like maybe $50 more on your monthly payment or something like that.
Well, if you're going $20,000 higher and rates are at 6%, you're looking at $120 a month higher. So you divide that by it's really $4 a day.
Yeah, we always talk about this. Don't go to Starbucks for a day.
Yeah, well, it'd be more than one day in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what your order looks like. Although Starbucks has gotten a little expensive, but that's a whole nother story. And so when you break down that payment, does that give people clarity? Because this is the stuff folks really want to know. I mean, you talk about rates. I don't think a lot of people know what 6.29 does versus 6.5 in most cases. Now, there's some people that are very savvy that can understand that math, but even some of the most sophisticated folks that are out there don't even know what's going on with mortgage rates right now.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's so crucial to just show them the difference in monthly payment. Like, any agent that doesn't do estimated closing costs for their buyers is, not doing them a service when it comes to.
Well, it's also illegal with Pennsylvania licensing.
Well, I meant when you're showing them houses, but no, before you get under contract. Just so you can show them, like, listen, like, even if we have to go above ask, this is what you're looking for as a difference. And some people, $100 difference is a deal breaker. Other people, it's not the end of the world. So,
well, what the closing cost estimate really is, it's a financial plan to get into the property. It shows you what your monthly payment's going to be and how much cash you need to close.
Yeah.
Those are the two most key numbers in there. And what it is for a seller, it's, hey, I decided I want to sell to get the money out of the house. Here's how much money you're actually getting, because we know these numbers don't mean anything until you actually get someone that's willing to pay it. So the closing cost estimate is a tool that savvy agents are using right now. So instead of saying, hey, let's just do the deal, let's move ahead, let's buy based on emotion. Well, with the new NAR settlement, you have to have a net sheet for a lot of sellers, because the way these deals are structured, sometimes if there's compensation being offered or not, the net's what really matters. I've seen sellers and buyers agree to prices higher than the asking price to include compensation. The net is what matters. So the closing cost estimate is the financial plan to the transaction. And if I'm an agent right now, or I'm a consumer, I'm concerned with those two numbers: payment and cash to close. And even if you just like a good agent would just circle them, right? And say, hey, like here's the two numbers we need to know about. Because some people are going to be more analytical than others. So you're giving them everything, but you're giving it to them at a high level. And that's a really good tool to use. And that's going to help you navigate to see if 6.29 makes a difference for you or not. That's really what we're talking about here.
You know, because some of my clients, they know what the monthly payment they're looking for, but they don't know where that puts them in the price range bracket. So that just helps me filter out for them as well. Like, okay, they send me a house. I'm like, well, this isn't going to work with your monthly payment. This is a waste of our time to view it. Let's look at this house instead. So it just helps bring more clarity into what they're looking for and what they can afford at the end of the day.
So that's where you want to take this information. And, I'm pretty clear we're going to see some rate cuts. I would imagine the mortgage rate's already priced in these rate cuts. So don't think they're going to come down more next week. The investors are way smarter than the Federal Reserve. I can promise you that. So the rate cuts are priced in to what we're seeing right now with rates. Understand what it means for your payment. Understand what it means for your cash to close. And what's your comfort level. Approval and comfort level are not the same.
No.
You can get approved for a number that's probably a lot higher than what you feel comfortable with. And then you have a plan to get into a property. And that's what makes sense right now. That's what savvy home sellers and home buyers are doing is they're looking at the numbers, they're understanding where we are in the market, and they're making informed decisions.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's take a break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about SEPTA avoiding these service cuts. Philadelphia being one of the best seller markets in the country. Is Pennsylvania really the 10th best state to live in? And an iconic building and complex really in Montgomery County just got sold. Should be very interesting. We'll be right back on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. That's good. Nice job.
Thank you. I was like at the end of it, I was like, what am I supposed to say?
It's fine.
You narrated everything.
Detailed service of a local bank.
The goal is to tee you up so you can just talk about it.
Fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time home buyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at
message Nick all the clip time so he knows what the polls is and watch this whole thing.
He doesn't want to watch us?
He can, but I mean he's got other work to do.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, I'll bake you cookies if you go tomorrow. He's like, all right, I'll go.
Huh?
Are you gonna smooth, easy access to home purchase?
Oh no, we're only gonna do one. We're gonna do one break.
Upsizing or downsizing or just refinancing.
So we'll just get right into the listings. Let me pull up these listings. We got a lot of them.
You just like give them a shout out?
I explain. So I pull them all up and I explain like, hey, here's what we got. You can schedule by appointment. We got open houses, whatever.
Or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized local service you find in Mortgage America.
Let's go back and forth about them.
Okay.
For a mortgage, you shouldn't have
a lot of Delco listings.
To get a great rate.
I'm just happy we have listings right now.
Cross country mortgage. We're
Why?
local, Pennsylvania
Listing, you list to last. That's what.
loans that fit nearly any unique home buying situation, including first-time buyer options, low to no down payment options, and non-agency products. Get a free pre-approval now at ccm.com and search for us, Suteras. That's S-U-T.
Yeah, that Zillow seller lead, I only talked to him for like less than a week.
We're right behind you.
I saw,
Kinda
yeah.
fast.
You working out with her?
I haven't heard from her yet.
Don't
I
worry
told
about
her
it.
to call me whenever she can.
Control over your income. Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Zara Solomon. We both work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. We're talking about SEPTA avoiding cuts, Philadelphia being one of the best sellers markets in the country. Is Pennsylvania really the 10th best state to live in? Sounds like a no from Sarah. Not Sarah, Zara. Sorry. And I've been doing the show with Sarah for years. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. And St. Gabriel's in Audubon was sold. We're going to talk about that. So if you get some value out of this or you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. And if you want to schedule a call with Zara from our team to talk about your real estate needs and what this might do to impact them, you can do that with the link in the comments. So I want to start with these SEPTA cuts. This story has been dominating the headlines here, and there's a temporary solution. So it's better than no solution, I would say.
I'll take a
So
temporary solution.
yeah, and so SEPTA's avoiding cuts for another 2 years because the PA agency grants requests for SEPTA to use maintenance funds. So PennDOT basically came out and said you can dip into the $394 million in capital assistance to fund daily operations and avoid massive cuts for now. This feels like a Band-Aid. I'll get into why that's the case in a second. Are you surprised that there wasn't a more permanent solution that was agreed upon, Zara? What's your opinion on this?
I mean, I'm surprised it's happening in general. Like they're
Mhm.
trying to cut so many lines just because I could definitely use the train over the weekend. Parking or getting out of the stadium that I was in was terrible. But yeah, hopefully I kind of like this. I know it is like a band-aid on a bullet hole for now, but I'll take it. Hopefully by the time what you said this is 2 years, a 2-year delay.
It's a 2-year solution is what this
Solution.
is.
Yeah, hopefully by then they'll, I don't know, reverse it if they can or something like that. Because I just feel like this whole situation is just terrible.
Well, so there's a $213 million shortage in the budget right now. And starting in August, there was a lot of service cuts that were made. And a lot of people were affected by this. This all happened just a couple weeks ago. And so apparently they're going to restore all affected service by the 14th, so in 5 days here. But there's people that are waiting like 2 to 3 hours to just get where they're going. And there's a lot of people that rely on SEPTA to like go to doctor's appointments and go to work and go to school.
Yeah.
Let alone what you and I use SEPTA for. I think we're maybe a little spoiled. Want to take like a fun trip into the city or something. And you had both sides of the aisle here wanting long-term solutions. So there was the Senate Democratic leader, Jay Costa. He commended Governor Shapiro and Secretary Carroll for coming up with this solution here and allowing them to dip into these funds. And he said that today the governor and PennDOT took the last worst step that was available and accepted SEPTA's request to access capital funds intended to provide for safe and efficient transportation to divert them for operational needs to restore the transit service that Philadelphia runs on. It's not ideal, but necessary. We applaud the governor and the Shapiro administration for taking this bold action. So, then there was the Senate Majority Leader, Joe Pittman, had our Democrat colleagues joined us in putting people over politics by supporting House Bill 257 as passed by the Senate on August 12th. The money could have been utilized 3 weeks sooner. There would have been no negative impacts on school children, seniors, and everyone who relies on transit services. So, and they are doing a rate hike here, which sounds like that's really important. I mean, for years it was like $2 to get on the Broad Street line. That's going to raise $31 million. So that's a good start. What I'm worried about here is what happens in 2 years.
That's what I mean. Yeah, like what's the ultimate solution at the end of it? And maybe, unfortunately, like maybe doing more rate hikes will help with the deficit. I'm not really sure, but I just feel like anything to prevent more rate cut or to prevent more, cuts down the line.
Well, you look at this here. I'd love to have like an audit of their budget. Like, where's all this money going?
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously, like public transportation should be self-sustainable. Like it should be a for-profit business, not the other way around. And if you're running these trains all the times and everything else, like 21.5% is a lot, but that's raising $31 million. There's a $213 million funding crisis. So you're talking about 15% here, basically.
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do because when you look at the tax revenue, and I think this is the problem, this isn't just a Pennsylvania issue, or it's not a Philadelphia issue, it's a Pennsylvania issue because we come up with 40% of the tax revenue in the greater Philadelphia area. But are we getting 40% of that to run SEPTA? Like this is just, it's a bad situation. And I'm really concerned we're going to be in the same problem 2 years from now. This isn't the first time there was concern about this. So I'd love to see a permanent solution. I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep doing temporary solutions until they figure out what to do. So I wouldn't be surprised if 2 years from now they do another temporary solution or something like that.
Well, I think that's really, that's unfortunately that's kind of like government. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's really a problem. So, but it's disappointing for sure. So I'm glad it's running. I think we need a more permanent solution here and some pressure on this. So let's talk about this 10th best state to live in. I found it was Pennsylvania, according to Wallet Hub, which attributes states' quality of life, safety, education, and health to its ranking out of 100 points. Our home state, the Keystone State, scored 57.9, less than 3 points away from the top state, Massachusetts, which I was shocked about. What now? Here's the state. Do you think? I guess before I get into the states above, do you think Pennsylvania is really like the 10th best state to live in?
Well, I'm kind of biased because I've only ever lived in Pennsylvania my whole life. I don't know if it's the 10th best state. I mean, in terms of education and, it does have accessibility to everything. Like, it's pretty nice where we live in the suburbs where I kind of get my peace and quiet. I like the cows.
Mhm.
But then also, I like to go in the city. And so just having that as well is pretty nice. Like, I love the main line area. The winter here is horrendous. I hate the cold. So don't do well living in Pennsylvania for that purpose. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, so here's the states that ranked above. Number one, Massachusetts had number one education and health rank. Number two, Idaho. You got to be kidding me! Like, I mean,
What is in Idaho?
that's my point. Like, you got
I don't
Boise
know.
State, right? You got the Smurf turf. That's about it. Potatoes.
Yeah.
Number three is Jersey. The taxes in New Jersey are ludicrous
Yeah.
compared to
And
Pennsylvania.
the
both.
drivers.
Well,
Sorry.
the drivers are a problem, but I mean, state income tax as well as property tax. And when you look at affordability, Pennsylvania came in 29th. New Jersey and Massachusetts ranked 48th and 44th, respectively. Wisconsin's number 4, Minnesota's number 5, Florida is number 6, 7 New Hampshire, 8 Utah, 9 New York, 10 Pennsylvania, and then Wyoming's number 11. So I'm wondering, I mean,
Who's number 1 again?
Massachusetts.
Okay.
Now they rank things like safety and other stuff. I mean, Pennsylvania was ranked 11th in safety, 17th in education and health. The economy was ranked 35th, probably because of these SEPTA cuts.
Yeah.
29th in affordability. So you're seeing that there's a whole thing here. I mean, I would argue Pennsylvania is a top 10 state when you look at all the states that are out there. We've
Mhm.
got a major metro city. We've got a variety of places you can live. I think it's a very diverse state where you got
Yeah.
a large city, a Midwestern city, a lot of rural in between, some very high end, high end suburbs, as well as some farm country and that sort of stuff. But seeing states like Idaho
Yeah, it's so
and
random.
Wyoming in the top,
Yeah, like the
Iowa's number
Midwest.
12. Like I just don't I don't agree with.
Does this also have to do with like the house prices? Because I know
Affordability is one of them. So I
okay,
mean,
because I know Pennsylvania obviously has a higher average median sale price than compared to some other states.
well, we're lower than Massachusetts. We're lower than North
Yeah.
Jersey. New York's number 9. New York has ludicrous prices, but then New York's a very similar state to Pennsylvania because you get to like central New York,
Yeah.
and other places are very different. And you look at the two biggest cities in New York are Buffalo and New York City. Now we don't have New York City, but Buffalo is more of like a Midwestern northern town,
Mhm.
kind of like Pittsburgh. So, I just these things are so arbitrary. I think you're probably going to, and you know what's going to happen here? You're going to see like real estate agents like, oh, this is the 10th best state to live in. They're going to post it in their descriptions. I'm telling you right now. So, what do you think about these rankings? I mean, I would argue Pennsylvania is a top 10 state. I don't know if some of these other ones would be top 10. Like, I like Florida in there. I'm surprised like Arizona or, I mean, California obviously has major affordability
Yeah.
issues. That's probably why it's not. California is ranked
It's
number
a popular
32.
state, but I don't
Yeah.
see it being one of the best states.
Yeah, I was
for
also
some
surprised by
reason.
Illinois not being in there, especially with,
That's
that was
true.
number 17.
Was Arizona in there?
Arizona is ranked number 30. Texas
Oh,
number
really?
38. Like Texas is another state
That's
I
crazy.
would have.
Yeah.
South Carolina 44. Like these are states I would want to live in.
North Carolina.
North Carolina was higher. That was 22.
Yeah, like I would pick those states over, say, Wyoming and Idaho.
Yeah, Utah,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
Minnesota. It's freezing cold there.
that's interesting. I wonder how much they like if there's a ranking based off of like the education, if that's higher than the affordability, or like how they really measure it. If one's higher than the other in terms of that. But
Who knows? All this stuff's made up.
yeah.
All right.
I guess that makes me feel better about living here.
Well, and what's interesting is despite our top 10 ranking, Philadelphia was ranked one of the best sellers market in the country by Redfin. And what they did here was there's the article they have they do some analysis about how many home buyers are in the suburbs and people selling their homes and all that. There are close to 3,000 more home buyers in Philadelphia's Pennsylvania suburbs than people selling their homes, according to this Redfin research. It's a 36% difference between sellers and buyers in the suburban market. It's the third largest discrepancy in favor of sellers in the nation. And they identify the collar counties, which I agree with, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, Delaware, that are still having multiple offers. And it shows there's 4,903 sellers compared to 7,672 buyers in Montgomery, Chester, and Bucks counties as of July.
Oh, wow.
With almost a 7% increase in prices. We know the market's up a little over 6%, so that's absolutely right. And I'm just wondering how they determine how many buyers are out there. How do you really know that number?
I guess, do they base it off of mortgage applications?
Well, I mean, they could, but they're saying there's an excess, right?
Yeah.
Mortgage applications only get filed when you have an executed agreement of sale. So maybe it's like pre-approvals or
That's
something
true.
like
Yeah,
that.
maybe like a pre-approval or something like that. I don't know how else they would be able to track it.
Well, and I always wonder about these surveys, because when you see that sort of stuff happen, it's like, well, where did they even get this information? I'm not really sure. So you look at this here. The Philadelphia market is different than the suburbs. They also identify that, which I totally agree with.
Yeah.
In the city, there are 17.5% more sellers than buyers, according to Redfin, making that more of a buyer's market there. And I think you got to go neighborhood by neighborhood in Philadelphia because it's so different.
Yeah.
And that dichotomy does exist. I mean, I'm pretty clear on that.
There's more sellers.
Well,
than buyers.
the Philadelphia market's a totally different animal than the
for sure.
suburbs. I mean, we see homes sit on the market that are great properties there versus what would be happening in the suburbs. So, and the people moving out of the city, I think, have a little bit of a harder time understanding all that because they're buying a home in this seller-friendly market, but it's a little more tilted in the city.
Yeah, and then they get out of it.
For sure. So, I mean, this is, I think this is pretty accurate here. So what do you think this means for people thinking about making a move in the next 6-12 months? I mean, when you see this seller-friendly conditions based on this Redfin survey that's out there.
I mean, specifically in the Philly area or the suburbs? Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes them, like, if I was a buyer looking to move into the city, it would make me want to move there more just because you have a lot more options. There's more inventory out there for you, and you're more likely to get a better deal.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think what's going to end up happening is that you're going to. I don't think this is going to change anytime soon either. We need to see a lot of inventory come to the market, and there's just not enough there. So I think for someone who already has a place to go, and they're thinking about selling their home, I'm looking at, hey, rates came down. There's not a lot of inventory out there while it's growing. Maybe I need to get ahead of this and be a first mover to the market selling my home rather than waiting until the spring or maybe the summer of next year. Now, if I'm a buyer, I'm also looking at, hey, I might need to just keep my eyes peeled at all times and stop trying to time the market. Just be actively involved in the market when the right opportunity comes up. And I've had clients like that where they looked for a home for a year. But they only looked at like 3 properties, and they knew what they wanted, they were clear on it, and they saw the right one, and they were able to move. I think you've got to have that mindset as a buyer right now.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I mean, I think with sellers, it's more so track the competition that's out there for you at that moment and try to be as competitive as you can if you really do need to sell. Keep in mind, what the other listings are going for. How long have they been sitting on the market? Like, your agent should obviously be telling you those things, and then as a buyer, just seeing what else is out there and tracking it, like you said, ahead of time. That way, whenever you are ready, you can move on a property or have seen multiple before you submit an offer.
Well, and that's where we talked about this before. You're showing backup properties. I think people hesitant to go out and look at homes they're not sure about. It's a mistake. You got to see the bad houses that you don't like
to get the good one,
to find the one that's going to work best for you. Because if you have no perspective, it's no different than if you're going in and you're judging something, you're sampling something, you only try one. Well, there has to be a basis point, and you've got to see what other options are out there. You have to see some lemons to find the cherry. It's that simple.
Yeah, even with my own personal home, it was the first house I went to, and then I got under contract pretty quickly. But I had my home search on the entire time while I was under contract in case something amazing popped up. I would look at it or jump on it. And then I realized I wasn't able to see anything that I wanted in the location I wanted. So that made me more 100% certain that I made the right choice with that. So that gave me some certainty with my own personal home.
Well, it just, seeing more options will give you clarity. That's really what it is, especially even if it's a seller's market like this. So the last thing we want to cover here, now this is pretty wild. So do you know where St. Gabriel's Hall is in Lower Providence?
No.
So
but
it's,
it looks nice.
well, It's a boys' correction facility.
Oh,
So I don't
never
know.
mind.
It's
Outside looks nice.
it's in Montgomery County in Lower Providence Township. It's right next to Phoenixville in like the Audubon area.
Oh,
It's
okay.
got 60 acres, and the Archdiocese of Philadelphia announced that the longtime home for troubled youth would close in fall of 2020, and no one really knew what was going to happen with the parcel. So 5 years later, the property has been acquired by an entity associated with Audubon Land Development, a local real estate developer who works industrial, residential, hospitality, and retail sites. And St. Gabriel's was like a place for like young teenage boys for over 120 years. They had a 190,000 square foot red building that dates back to 1896. It's a $12 million sale for a 48-acre parcel at 1350 Paulings Road, with a 2.5 million acquisition of the 10-acre parcel across the street, and they make up the whole campus. The smaller 10-acre parcel houses Martha's Choice Marketplace and Martha's Community Farm. It's a volunteer community farm that cultivates produce for food pantries. And the Audubon Land Development has declined comment for the site. However, both of these sit in Lower Providence Township. This is like right on the other side of Phoenixville Borough. They're zoned R2, which allows for single-family detached housing, and it also sits within a public facilities overlay, allowing for township buildings or facilities or open space and public parks. And any other proposed projects would need zoning changes and variances. So, to give some perspective, the Audubon Land Development has developed over 3,000 homes and has retail sites including Audubon Square, Marketplace at Oaks Shopping Center as part of its portfolio. What do you think they're going to do with this?
So the people that purchased it
Mhm.
have purchased, like, they've made it into shopping centers and things like that?
Well, so they've developed over 3,000 homes, and they also have some retail sites they own.
Okay, got it. I could see it being maybe like a new construction development then or something like that. That would make the most sense for me because especially that location where it's so Phoenixville is so popular,
Yep.
especially the borough and downtown. I could see them making it into more of a new construction development.
I would hope that's what they do here because
Yeah.
one, the housing shortage is real. Now, I'm worried what's going to get built there. This is always the
That's
question because the average new construction sale prices are $800,000 and up in
Mhm.
Chester, Delaware, Montgomery counties for single family homes. So I'd love it to be maybe
Townhouses.
like townhouses, maybe some single family homes,
Yeah.
maybe a mix or like a hybrid development. You see a lot of that happening right now. The location is pretty prime. It's between 422 near Valley Forge Historic Park, between the Schuylkill and Perkiomen Creek. So you got a really great and
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
a
right
really
by
nice
like King of
location.
Prussia and Valley Forge. I mean that's a hot area right now.
Yeah.
And my hope is that there's something there that's going to have some sort of like townhomes or maybe even some condos or something that's going to be a little more affordable. Now the problem is the township's going to have their say, which they always do, and I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I would hope there's some more affordable new construction than what we normally see. What do you think? What would you like to see there?
Yeah, for sure. I think just sticking with maybe townhouses and condos, just a little bit more affordability, especially since we literally just talked about how
Yeah.
a lot of buyers are deterred from coming in the marketplace just because of the affordability, that it doesn't make sense for them to make higher price point single families because any new construction single family in that area is definitely going to be well over 800K.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's just a lot more of a niche market than opening it up to townhouses and, different affordable budgets.
Well said. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. So let's talk about our new listings. We got a lot of local stuff going on. Zara, why don't you lead off with the home on Boulder Lane that's coming to the market? Boulder Drive, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm a little biased to this one because it's my listing. But yeah, it hits the market officially this Friday, and then we're going to have an open house on Sunday from 12 to 2 p.m. as well. It's a newer townhouse in Downingtown and it's in really great condition overall.
Yeah, so the asking price on this is going to be $519,900.
Yes.
It's got a finished basement,
Mhm.
3 bedrooms. It's a newer build too. I mean, this community was all built in 2020, so it's
Yeah.
only 5 years old, and it's really close to 322 Thorndale. Great location. Very very quiet. It's got a 1-car attached garage.
Downtown area school district.
Yep. There's like a walking path. I mean, it's a nice community. That's going to be at $519,900. Next listing here is at 478 Glenrose Circle in King of Prussia. So we're talking about how hot King of Prussia is. This is a nice community. It's a 1,800 square foot townhome built in 2002. It's got 3 beds, 2 full, 2 half baths, finished basement, and the sellers are going to be asking $545 over here. It's the community's located in a part of King of Prussia. It's a little off the beaten path here. It's right off Beadler Road. So you're kind of on like the north side of King of Prussia. Once you get past the mall, it's close to the river. Great location. $545 showings are going to start on that over the weekend. And then your listing on Boulder is going to be an open house on Sunday, correct?
Yeah.
Awesome.
12 to 2.
Awesome. I'm going to take the next one here.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 7019 Oakley Street, in Philadelphia. So this is right off of Route 73 and Rising Sun Avenue. This is a great location here. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath twin in Northeast Philadelphia. It's got a detached garage, which you don't see a lot of. And this place is in prime condition. It's got a driveway as well. Hardwood floors throughout. It's got 4 bedrooms, including kind of a real like primary suite on the 3rd floor with a full bath. Very meticulous. Got a beautiful front porch, a lot of hardwood floors, exposed brick, and that's going to be open Saturday from 11 to 1 with an asking price of $350,000, 7019 Oakley Street. Want me to keep going?
Keep going.
All right, so 36 East Washington Avenue in Clifton Heights. This is a 5-bed, 1.5 bath. Twin, 1,958 square feet. So it's a big property. $280,000 asking price. This property, it's clean, it's neat, it's well cared for, it's in pretty good shape, and that's going to be asking $280,000. That's being shown by appointment, and it's in Clifton Heights at 36 East Washington Avenue. And the last property here, 1306 Swarthmore Avenue in Folsom, 4 beds, 3.5 baths, 2,700 square feet. It's a single family home. $500,000 asking price, and this is another. I mean, this to me is a great value. I mean, you're right in Ridley Township. We've also got a multi-unit that's coming to the market in Chester, 2032 Edgemont Avenue, 174.9. It's a multifamily investor property. So we got a lot of great listings coming to the market. You want to see any of them, you can schedule a call with our team in Zara to book it with the link in the comments. I tell you where to follow Zara on social media, but she doesn't use social media. So you can email her at zara@tomtoole.com. It's ZAHRA@tomtoole.com. You can follow me at TomToole3RD on Instagram, and we'll be back next week on WWDB 860 AM on Toole Time Real Estate Radio.
They were trying to call for you for 10 minutes, and I was like,
I know where we're going.